Hello, everybody. This is Chris Charlton. I'm doing a mic check here real quick. Mic check for people in the chat. I have both Slack and YouTube chats open at the same time. Is my screen all black to you guys? Right now, I think that's what the preview is showing me. You guys hear me? Test, test. Hello, test, test. Hello? Stopper, thank you for confirming that you hear me. Perfect. Rick, thank you as well. Okay, good. Making sure. Now, please confirm that we could see the video feed. Drupal module page. All right, cool. Good, good, good. So far, so good. The quality's okay. Should be full test, test. Hello, yes. Picture is good. Okay. So this is a first time for us, obviously. Thank you, Rick, for verifying over there. We have both Slack open and, of course, the YouTube chat. There is, this kind of, I would say, experimentation that we're doing real quick with this online. So I'm going to be doing my presentation, and then we're going to be taking questions from the team, or members, sorry. I'm trying to get out of work mode here. From the community, so I'll be guiding this. I actually have a couple of slides, and so that'll be one of the first things that I want to cover real quick. And I just love a quick check from the peanut gallery here. Do you guys see the LA Drupal November 2019 slides? The Slack channel, by the way, where I'm using right now, I'm in the meetups. But I would imagine if anything popped up in general, that might be okay. But if you can join the Meetups LA Drupal Slack channel, it's free for LA Drupal members, for those that don't know and who are watching the recording. If you are an LA Drupal member, you can register for our Slack channel. There's a good active group there each day. So now you see black. Hopefully you would see the Keynote, because you would see the sponsor slide. Let me see here. I could even try Keynote without full screen. So do you guys see the Keynote presentation, or is it black for the rest of you guys, a dark screen? And again, we're figuring this out because I want to make sure that what I'm presenting is there. We doing okay? Everyone's very quiet, so that kind of makes it a little difficult here. How about this? You guys see these slides okay? Like that? You see black. Okay, so I pulled out a full screen, and sorry for the delay, everybody. I pulled out a full screen, completely black and gray bars only. Well, that's not good, because that's not what I want. I want us to see this screen here. So, show. Peter, there, got it. No, black, better now. We see it. I like that. Okay, so I think the full screen feature of Keynote is going to unfortunately cause all black screen. So by just maximizing, I think we're okay here, right? Okay, so let's try to get a little bit more of the screen to show. Let's zoom. Let's fit the slide. Okay, sorry guys. Keynote, but can't see the slides. You really can't see the slides. Do you see the thank you sponsors slide? You see the slides on the left, but what about the big one? It says Stoffer, thank you to the sponsors. I want to make sure we get that. This worked better when I had one person check this with me. Some of your screen is off. Okay. Google Slides. I just resized. Did that help? Are you guys only seeing a portion of my desktop? Is that the case? Partially helped. I wish the preview was helpful for me here. It's not really showing me a nice, just the top of Stoffer. You see little one. Ah, this is great. This is great. Looks like it's 800 by 600. You know what then? I think it's because it's 4K the monitor. Is that what you think? That's probably the issue. Portion of desktop. I think that's because of the monitor. Better size but too low. Just the top stopper. So I'm trying to get it up into the upper quadrant better. And I think if I get it in this upper quadrant, okay, now it is better. Guess what, guys? That's all 1/4 of the whole screen. So that means the 4K monitor is messing up, and I should be down to regular HD. Rick, I think it is just you. Okay. Let's get a double check. Audio. Everybody else here is the audio, I assume, correct? Because I keep moving everything, and you guys seem to talk or point in the chat. Sorry for the delay here getting started. Almost there. Almost the whole thing. You guys are hilarious. And I just squeezed it in smaller, and best so far. Yeah, so, yep, only 1/4 of the screen. The modules page, is that cut off for you guys as well? Thank you, Stuffer, for the audio. The modules screen you guys see, is that also cut, chopped off as well? Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Web3D. Okay, just help me out here. Modules page, is it cut off? Is the module page cut off? Yep. Okay, so that sounds like I'm going to have to do the top left quarter. How's that look for you guys now? Does that fit? Yep. Okay. So my suspicion is correct. That basically the top left quarter of my 4K monitor looks like 800 by 600. Okay. Okay. I have an idea here. I am going to switch this here. Okay. All right. Great. Better. Okay. And you guys see it all? Just about. Can see aggregator. Okay. Yeah, that's where it would cut off right now. That's that's the extent of it, and I'm scrolling now. So. Okay. So now, if you have a 4K monitor, it looks like everybody, we found out that we're going to have to see why the output for you guys is different from when I was testing it earlier. I think we're going to be okay. Do you guys want to give me a thumbs up that we should be okay if I keep it up in the top left corner? Can you expand the slides a little? I really appreciate everybody being very patient and helpful. Your input right here and getting this this scalable streaming solution for us out of the way. Our viewers are going up, by the way, so people are still coming in, so it's not bad. We haven't, for everybody who's been joining us, we've been getting some technical difficulties out of the way here because of my fancy 4K screen. Unfortunately, it was sending too many pixels. Looks good here. I got a looks good once. Manny, thank you. I got another good. Peter, you say okay. 20% empty space on the right. Mario, I'm not going to be doing debugging on 20% right now, but I love it. I love how you measured it. Pixel guy. Pixel headed. Sorry. Expand the slides. Okay. Rick says I should go for it. Thank you, Rick. Okay. All right. I hope I can maybe edit out the previous stuff on YouTube. We'll see. Looks good. Slides have about 20% space on the right. Yeah, that's good for them. Okay, I think we'll be fine. I think the aspect ratio, by the way, I think the slides are 4:3, if that makes sense, and the aspect ratio on the screen is 16:9. So for you nerds, you would understand and be nodding right now and going, oh yeah, that's right. So there you go. Okay. All right, fellow Drupal members, hello. November meetup. We're doing this online. Total experiment. Going okay. Some things. Other things were new news to me, like full screen and the blackout issue. So we're working through stuff, but we're going to figure out a way to incorporate both online and in person at our meetups. So those of you who can't, travel very far or just want to see the recording and us to have a very solid process, repeatable process to do our recordings of our meetups. LA Drupal has been doing meetups since 2008, even probably a little bit before that, for some of the very early lunch style meetups on the weekends. And so doing video for us is a big deal. More viewers are coming in. That's great. You guys, thank you. Join us every month. We will be doing them in person, of course, but we're experimenting with online tonight. All right, cool. So everybody, thank you for joining. We have a live chat going on in both Slack, our meetups. LA Drupal has a public Slack channel for LA Drupal members. You can join for free, free Slack chat. We got a bunch of cool rooms like music, meetups, makers, JavaScript stuff, PHP stuff. That's what we're talking about, Drupal all day, and some fun stuff. So I'm going to go over these slides. We got a couple of things real quick. I threw in a couple new slides today because there was some good information about Drupal 9 that I was able to collect earlier today, and I figured I'd add them to this presentation. So I'm going to put them up in the beginning. First, though, as always, we want to thank our sponsors. Stauffer for being our venue sponsor, food sponsor, Wi-Fi sponsor, all the sponsors things. Stauffer, thank you so much. Of course, you have seen Stauffer be a sponsor at the Drupal Camp LA, our annual summer mega Drupal event. And Stauffer has been our venue sponsor again all this year in 2019. So thank you to them. And if you're in LA visiting or you're an LA resident, of course, doing Drupal, please come out to our meetups and thank our sponsors and everybody who supports us, including our community members. So thanks again, Stauffer. Our agenda tonight's going to be easy. If you're familiar with my set of slides, I tweaked this a little bit because at the bottom we have a new thing. So I'll be going through job announcements. If you guys have a job announcement that you guys want me to call out, please bring it up in the chat. Right now I know we have a very lo-fi way of raising hands right now online. Again, we're working through this, so we'll figure stuff out. Food is great tonight, Stauffer. Yes, that was fun. That's excellent. The food that you have at home is good food. Thank you. All right, so job announcements. I'm going to give a minute or so for job announcement to come through the chat channels. I do have a job announcement myself. My name is Chris Charlton. Big disclosure, I now work for Pantheon. I joined them a little bit earlier this year. And we have some job openings for engineers and for marketing and for various other roles at Pantheon, and we have them at both headquarters in San Francisco and remote. We are distributed all across the globe, and we are the best web ops platform for your Drupal and WordPress sites. So that's my pitch. Yes, I put a full disclosure at the front. Sorry, guys. I had to kind of get into that mode. It's a new muscle of mine, new habit. So again, I'm waiting for job announcements to come in. I kind of feel like a esports streamer, which is weird. Let me see. Okay. The job announcements, hopefully there'll be some that come in. I'm not seeing any new job announcements yet. So I'll come back before the agenda slide is gone to bring up any job announcements that people post online. As always, jobs.drupal.org is where we post our jobs. You can put them in and tag them for Los Angeles. So that's where you should be putting them first and then announcing them here at the community meetups or even in the community Slack. And that's how we get people pointed to the job posts if there isn't one that we're sharing again directly in Slack or on our official groups page, groups.drupal.org/LA. And I have a couple things here real quick. Media Current, Mario Hernandez is letting me know. Media Current is always hiring for various roles. Yes, thank you, Mario. So Media Current is a Drupal shop that does all elements of the Drupal stack, if I got that right, Mario. Kind of doing a basic pitch here for in proxy for Mario. But front end, back end, Drupal stuff. If you know Drupal, hit up Media Current as well, it sounds like. Great. Okay, like I said, before this slide is gone, I will double check to see if anybody posted another job announcement. Drupal news, I'm going to be getting into those. There's some pretty cool news that you guys, if you haven't been keeping up to date, this is going to be your roll-up of that information. My presentation tonight will be New Relic. And show of hands, how many are already familiar with New Relic, and how many are even using it with Drupal? That would be good to know, so call that out in the live chat if you are a New Relic user. If you're new to New Relic, I would love to know as well, because that's some things that I really want to speak to. And knowing who, Drupal 7, Drupal 8, that's stuff that I'm going to be bringing up through the presentation. Okay? And you see the last fourth bullet point here, feedback regarding online meetup trial. So this is our online meetup trial, obviously. Would love feedback. So during the presentation here online in either Slack or YouTube, please post any feedback. You could also, of course, post it in our Slack anytime after if you're watching the recording or just didn't have a chance to mention how you thought it was going tonight. So thank you. All right, I want to get off me digital agency. Yes, thank you, Mario. Clarifying, Media Current is a digital agency, 100% remote. Okay, great. No other job posts, so I'm going to move on real quick. We've got a couple people here. Stauffer says New Relic has saved our projects multiple times. That's great. I paraphrased what Stauffer was saying there. You guys will all appreciate his enthusiasm, of course. I share it. Miguel Ramirez, I use New Relic through Acquia, so he's using it right from their dashboard. That's great. Okay, so we have anybody else New Relic here? Rick, you put a shameless plug. I'm not sure if that was for a job post or just a hello. Oliver Selman from Pantheon says he just did a presentation on New Relic at Texas Camp, which he thinks was recorded. Great, Oliver, that's cool, because I'll be able to go over a couple of the basics here, and what we could do is point people in the links to in the show notes and on the YouTube and the GDO page for this to that longer presentation. Thank you, Oliver, for sharing that. That'd be great, actually. So cool. A couple people saying that they know New Relic. Yeah, that's great. Again, please post in the chat your thoughts, your feedback, questions, something that you want me to call out or go over in a little bit more detail if there's time during this presentation. Okay, moving on. We always call out memberships, so Drupal member levels. If you are an individual, it's only $15. This is not required, of course. This allows you to help contribute back to Drupal that isn't via code, but through a little bit of money that you get an official badge, get listed in the directory, get some discounts, and the Drupal Association in return will use that money for the conferences, growing the software, growing the community, etc. You'll see there's other tiers here as well. You and your organization should consider obviously picking one of these tiers up if you make money off Drupal or you just feel like you would like to give back in that way. Okay, moving on to the next one. What's new in Drupal land? Okay. I'm going to go over a couple of these. First, the State of Drupal presentation from DrupalCon Europe was posted. I would definitely suggest whether you're paying attention to the North America or the European Drupal conference dates, there's always, each one, there is the State of Drupal. And so these are good, I would say, half-year check-ins about what is going to be impacting the Drupal platform and community and ecosystem going forward, and how has Drupal responded to changes in markets and technologies as we adopt the greatest best practices, best of breed additions to Drupal CMS. The Drupal Composer Initiative for Drupal 8.8, a lot of people were involved in this. This is a big deal. I would suggest anybody who is definitely involved with or using Drupal 8 so far or planning to, this is the thing to check out, as Drupal 8 ends its major development life cycle and going into kind of a cold maintenance mode to make way for Drupal 9 coming next year in June. This Composer Initiative is a nice big welcome change that a lot of people are very happy to see happen, which will be in place for Drupal 9 when that launches. Any questions or comments about either of those? The Composer Initiative, I know not everybody is kind of used to Composer in their workflows. How many people in the chats, are still going to upgrade to Drupal 8 from Drupal 7 or maybe even Drupal 6? So call it out. This is a unique experience, right? Us kind of doing call-outs in the middle of a presentation because it's through the live chat. It's interesting. I like it. The Composer Initiative baked into Drupal 8.8 will allow Drupal itself to, again, not have so many things that need to be cobbled together in the beginning for developers to just get started real quick with Drupal 8, of course. Well, as quick as we reasonably can, right? Third line here we have Drupal 8.8 beta is already available now, beta 1. Did anybody here in our Slack or YouTube chat, did anybody download it yet? Drupal 8.8 beta. I know a couple people at my work did. Miguel Ramirez, I'm in the process of converting D7 to D8. Cool. Good time. As you know that Drupal 8 is kind of locking up its APIs and major changes. You guys can reliably move over to Drupal 8 now prior to Drupal 9's release and then move up as you guys see fit. So thank you, Miguel. Let me see. Outside of that, we have still the estimated release date, fourth bullet point here on the screen, Drupal 8.8 official release, December 4th. So that's coming up. And really neat is this updated slide. Oh, sorry, that's the Drupal Con slide. I have an updated slide coming up in a couple clicks. It goes over what to expect in Drupal 8.8. For those that were at the last meetup where I did a presentation about Drupal 8 and Drupal 9, where they were at, Drupal 8.8's kind of feature list was a little bit thin at the time. So there's more, and in a couple slides you guys are going to see the list of Drupal 8.8 items that we can see in the next release. Real quick to wrap up kind of basic announcements for Drupal Newsland. These are the Drupal Con North America dates. These have been published for quite some time. I like to show them off each meetup to remind everybody kind of how quick some of these are going to come up, but also for you guys to make your plans in the future. As you can see, it's going to be bouncing around just a few spots, but we now know where they're at, and we can make our travel plans ahead of time if needed. Let me see here. Somebody called out Web3D. Leonard called out that Miguel Huey's been working on a D6 to D8 migration. Content types. He's been working on that stuff, and he's been able to handle it via custom code on anything that was unique, it sounds like. So that's great. Cool. Very cool. All right. Any questions about DrupalCon dates or any of these initiatives that we came up with are listed here on this slide? I just want to do a little kind of check-in on the two chats. All right. Great. I'm going to jump into some information about Drupal 8.8. Are we doing okay on pacing? Everybody hear me okay? I'm not talking too fast. People like? Is everybody wearing slippers? Or slipper socks? I hope so. I am now. All right, so let's jump into Drupal 8.8. I hope you guys are enjoying this online too. All right. Drupal 8.8 ETA is December 4th, I believe. But the beta is already out, and there's actually some new items from the last time we checked in on what was coming out in 8.8 so far. So real quick to burn through these. Obviously, core bug fixes are coming in. WYSIWYG, the media embed UI, some updates to the media library. And then, of course, the JSON API updates, some changes there. Thank you, Miguel. Stoffers in pajamas, he said. Oh, wait, sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud. But it's okay. It's all online, right? So, fake news. Deep fake pajamas. There you go. These are the four main things that I was able to pluck out from the activity going on in Drupal 8.8 so far. So I hope this information is valuable to you, because actually all of these I'm happy to see, of course, the JSON API updates, but the media library and media embedded with the WYSIWYG for marketers and content editors. This is really where Drupal 9 is going to be able to shine right out of the box, where Drupal 8 might have not been able to, where we were waiting on the media API system, and then of course some UIs for that as well. So as I've said before, Drupal 9 is going to be the best version of Drupal 8 there ever was. All right. Here's the dates, the expected release, basically themes of each major Drupal release coming out for the next foreseeable future. We have obviously 8.8 planned for December here, 8.9, and of course Drupal 9 around the same time, slated for June. along with Drupal 8.9, which will be the last version of Drupal 8 officially, and we all know that. So, of course, you could look at the recording to pause this slide if you need to look at it longer. Of course, any questions? Anybody else? I want to check. All right. Okay. Cool. Quick updates. I just added these. In fact, today, earlier, Drupal 9 points. Just a couple little tidbits because we talked so much about the end of Drupal 8. We're getting excited for Drupal 9. So there's some really good little points that we're able to kind of get from the community website and news. This one's my favorite here right now. Early testings show 54% of Drupal projects that are compatible with Drupal 8 already are working in Drupal 9. What do you guys think of that? 54% of projects compatible. Now, remember, basically Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, and the same happened with Drupal 5 to Drupal 6, Drupal 6 to Drupal 7. 0% of projects were directly compatible because the API had, been drastically different. The hooks, whatever new thing came in. Modules to remove in Drupal 9. I want to get this name right. Leslie. Pacing modules removed in Drupal 9. There will be obviously a bunch of modules. Those have already been reported. In fact, I had a slide before. If I get to bring this up, yeah. See, it was in a previous version of this presentation. Sorry about that. But it's public information about which modules have been booted out of Drupal core or are being planned to be booted out, removed. Sorry, in Drupal 9. So pretty good, yes. Pretty good stats to start with, 54%. And that doesn't mean everything is going to be used in Drupal 9, right? As we've seen, projects have been consolidating appropriately, right? We don't need, something like out in other, CMS ecosystems, 5 versions of a slideshow module or, a modal, thing, whatever it be. Drupal is really good about consolidating that in the community. So, and then what I wanted to show was actually a really cool new thing, and I'm going to share with you guys a pretty cool page that I forgot to have open on this window right here. There is a new Drupal 9 theme. Has anybody seen this yet? Lullabot just kind of announced it fairly recently, and there's a little preview of it. It's called Olivero, and I might be mispronouncing it, but this is a pretty cool new thing. And in the State of Drupal presentation, again from Europe, a lot of this stuff was brought up. So there's the very long hour plus presentation about everything, and there's a couple of really cool videos about like the image embedding, some of the new media features, editing in place, and there's a really neat. I want to bring it up. There's a very cool new theme, like I said, and Lullabot is actually showing off. I think that is the video. They're actually showing off a preview of a new theme. Oliver, I'll bring your comment up in a second here. But I would love to give a moment here to show everybody a preview. Do you guys hear the audio from the video? Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on video. You guys see the video playing? I want to make sure. Yeah, close enough, right? Okay, so what I'm hearing right now, and sorry for the silence, but people are saying that they're not getting any audio directly from the video. Luckily, it's captioned, right? I mean, everybody's been seeing the captions at the bottom. So thank you for the team who captioned these. And also, well, now the video has no sound. I turned off the sound. So what I'll be doing is obviously we'll be sharing links to this whole blog post page from the association, in addition to some of the videos. So how about we share those? Some of them can even just be in Slack right now. Let me go ahead and share that for those that are hanging out in the meetups. Okay, so I've just shared in our Los Angeles Drupal user group Slack channel, the meetups channel, the blog post here, and I'm going to let the video kind of play through because again it has the captions, so we'll let that go through. Okay, the theme does look nice. I see other people have been commenting that the theme looked pretty nice. Okay, and I don't want to be rude here. There we go, Olivero. So let's try to get kind of a little sneak peek here. So as you guys see, that's kind of a little bit of a taste of the new default theme. You guys, is that big enough for you on the video? I don't want to make it too big, but it looks nice, sharp, right? Any other comments from everybody that they want to share about the new theme, or if they've seen anything about it? Oliver says, yeah, new theme looks good. My pronunciation was close enough. Thank you, Oliver. Appreciate that. Okay. But that's the new theme, or one of them coming for Drupal 9. So, again, stuff's getting worked out, which is great to see. Okay. So I'm just going to move that tab over here real quick and then go back to my slides, if you don't mind. So that was the Drupal 9 stuff so far. Okay. I think we're doing okay on time a little bit. There's some slides here. The link I shared inside of our Slack, and actually just to help everybody out who is on YouTube, I'm going to post it right into the Slack, or the channel, sorry, chat channel right there. And so that is the State of Drupal October 2019, where this video and multiple other ones about Drupal 9 are posted. And Rick says that new theme looks way better than Bartik. Yeah, I mean, you know, Bartik's long in the tooth. It's of its time. And yes, of course, looks way better. But Drupal 9, I have a slide here just kind of showing off. This is kind of one of the ways that the Drupal community and association are looking to position Drupal 9, of course. And then, you know, a couple of the points based on some polls on the experience, especially the beginner experience, in different categories. You know, how Drupal fared for each of these segmentations. So Drupal's always, as you know, people have been watching the State of Drupal. Each version, there is a refinement kind of, you know, that is analyzed to try to make the experience better always. Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Any questions about Drupal 9 real quick, or the last version of Drupal 8 that we were discussing earlier? And if not, I can pop open and go right into the presentation. Again, since there's no live people, will I be sharing these slides? Yes, these slides will be shared. Definitely in the video at least, right? So you have the frames you can pause, and we do try to post these online. They have been Google Slides before. I did these on my machine, so I will try to get a version on Google Slide as well for us. Sound good? Any other questions? What is clear on that slide? Oh, clear, the blue one, right? That soft blue. Assuming clear actually would be around, is there clarity in the task or how to do like the instructions or maybe help? That would be my guess. So the question is, what in this chart that is scoring Drupal low on beginner, clear, this blue one, I assume is the task clear on how to get something done, because it's kind of in the negative, and Drupal is known for being a little difficult at first until you're shown where to get started. You guys think I'm spot on or wrong? Because I'm not seeing a clear definition, and maybe there's a full report that will have the info when they release that. Yeah. Are we good to proceed? I want to make sure. I don't want to leave anybody behind. I think so. Okay, cool. Very good. Just want to double check. Stream's fine, right? I think we've been doing well on that part. Okay. All right. So my presentation. Oh, sorry. So my presentation tonight is going to be New Relic for Drupal. Okay. I think you got it. Thanks, Marty. All right. So I'm going to be covering New Relic for Drupal, and there isn't, I would say, a dramatic difference in what I'm showing you between, say, Drupal 7 and Drupal 8, except in terms of what the module has out of the box. So I figured the best demo was for me to demo Drupal 7, and then those who use Drupal 8 can take that knowledge and basically figure out what is just slightly different in the GUI for 8. But everybody will be able to benefit whether you're on 7 or 8 or even Drupal 9 in the near future if you're looking at this recording. Checking the chat, there's a couple points here I want to see. Web3D, is there any comparison to D7 or 8? I'm assuming you're talking about the previous slides before. Clarity. We need to be clear on whatever clear means, Stoffer. Yes, that was perfect. So yes, it is telling. All right. So I guess the chat is caught up from the last slide. I'm going to be jumping over to the New Relic presentation. Okay. You guys see my screen here? It's a little bit scrunched, which will be a bummer. So I'm going to have to kind of shrink the screen. Is that okay for everybody? You guys seeing that okay? You guys should see a New Relic screen that shows my simple D7 dev site. There should be a happy face with a message that says there are no violations in progress right now on the right side. Please let me know that you guys see this screen before I proceed, if you don't mind. Cool. Also, as an aside, the presentation, is the screen good enough? Do you guys need kind of something else on the screen present? If you guys have any thoughts or feedback about that, let us know. Okay. Looks good, Miguel. Thank you. I'm assuming you guys do see my New Relic report. Okay. Mario says, unfortunately, he has to drop, but he's great that this is online and recorded, so he's going to try to get to this next time. That's perfect. Okay, Peter says okay. Manny says okay. All right, good. So I have a simple Drupal website, and I mean really simple. In fact, I have titled it Simple. It is a basic plain website, Drupal 7. Nothing up my sleeve yet. But what I can show you is there's going to be a list of modules that we're going to be utilizing here just to, play with this simple Drupal 7 website. We see that there's really no content or anything like that because I will be actually showing the devel module generate, making some content up real quick, but we'll be actually seeing how that is running in New Relic. So that's, I think, a fun point of view that a lot of people don't realize that it's not just when your website is running live, but even maybe just kind of working on maybe, say, a module or a feature for a module, whether it's for a production site or developers, using New Relic to kind of see how something is performing as it runs is a really smart move. So that'll be fun to see that, and also it helps build out some of the charts with activity, which is pretty good. Okay. So again, nothing really up my sleeve. I'm going to show you guys the list of modules here. Really nothing new in core. Unfortunately, there's probably some core modules that we might want to take off if we're not using them here. I'm just double checking, but this list looks okay. You guys see this list, but these are core modules. So I'm just going to collapse this list of core modules because we really don't need them. And I wanted to point out that I have the devel module on here. Of course, this is not a production site, development only. We have devel generate. So I'm going to be using devel generate to generate a bunch of nodes real quick. And we're going to actually watch that and inspect that activity in New Relic as well. And then, of course, Drupal itself has a New Relic module. I am one of the maintainers. The detail here is you do not have to have the New Relic module installed in your Drupal sites to use New Relic. New Relic can work and analyze any PHP application, and what it does is it does have some, I would say, some intelligence and understanding around Drupal and WordPress to, and you'll see these in my demo, provide some extra little views and reports that are specific to those CMS frameworks, and those do not require a plugin, a module. Okay. The module, what the module gives us, the module is not redundant. The module actually supplements. It will augment the data sent to New Relic, and I'll be going over some of that for you guys here, to enhance it. So the best question to ask is right here, do I need the New Relic module on my Drupal site to use New Relic? The answer is no. Do I benefit from the New Relic module for Drupal? Yes. So any team who is on Drupal 7, Drupal 8, you'll definitely want to be looking at this New Relic module for each of your Drupal versions to essentially not just to install and turn on, but configure in a way that makes sense, because it's got some pretty cool features if you're a Drush user. We know cron is very important to Drupal. So all of these actually, there's observability, thank you, sorry, into each of those that sometimes are kind of just, black boxes to some people. And New Relic is one of those cool tools that helps it not be so opaque. Okay. Of course, if there's questions, comments, cool tidbits about New Relic, please point them out in the chat. Okay. Again, I'm used to people having commentary, so I'm looking to people like Rick to have some fun popcorn peanut gallery moments in the chat until we figure out how to get the audio for a bunch of people together. And being in person is going to be great because we'll be able to record these safely. Presentations like this, people either can't make a meetup or people just want to go back to something that we covered, and we have years and years and years of videos recorded, so I really hope that this is very beneficial for everybody to use for Drupal 7, Drupal 8, and even maybe Drupal 9. This New Relic tool, it is a commercial tool. That's a detail I think we should all be clear about. So you do have to go somewhere to and get it activated. Again, full disclosure again, repeated, I work for Pantheon. We bake New Relic into our plans. Other providers provide it as well in different capacities. So this is really easy for me. I didn't have to really install anything on my server. It was already there for me. So there is no install process that I'm going to be going through in this demo, if that makes sense, for New Relic itself. Okay. So before I turn on the New Relic module, I would love to run New Relic and this Drupal 7 site and generate some content without the New Relic Drupal module from Contrib enabled, and then turn it on after we've run it a little without, to see the difference, because I think highlighting some of those differences are really, really key, and they're more visual in a lot of ways. Okay. So I've got this cheap site here called Simple. It needs some content, right? So let's definitely get some content going here. New Relic, before I start generating content, I'm going to introduce the GUI to New Relic real fast. This is pretty straightforward if you've used any online tool. This right here we see right out of the box. I've jumped right into the dashboard. This is pretty much where you land mostly when you get into New Relic. There's some messages, of course. We'll get into a couple of these. It's going to change up here at the top depending on what I'm doing. But what we see here is my simple PHP application, my Drupal 7, New Relic knows it's a PHP application. Here's some summary information, of course, errors. All this comes into detail when you click in. So I'm going to click in to this dev site here for New Relic. And this is the APM, which is the backend application performance monitoring. That's APM, this tab up here. This is the APM tab. This is basically the backend for your errors. This is the report screen for your backend errors, your backend transactions, and I'll give you a moment to kind of soak in the dashboard here. But of course, we're greeted right in the beginning with a big chart here. We're able to change the time frame, the window of time that you're going to be inspecting any of this stuff. So we see, just right before the meeting, I was doing a little bit of changes and some, config updates real quick. And we see that the colors show that PHP in blue, how long the PHP, or how much the PHP process took up. So I'm going to hide some of these other ones. And we could see that PHP took about 500 milliseconds. That's pretty cool, right? We add MySQL, that starts to add to the time, and we see how much the MySQL time on top of the PHP took to process. We're using Redis as a backend cache, and if you see, look, Redis only took basically less than 15 milliseconds total. So it almost vanishes when you add PHP and MySQL. Then there's a couple other processes, a little thin web external time, and then the full response time. So we're able to get a breakdown here, like I said, full window. In fact, let me even go out a little bit farther. As you can see, you're able to inspect a long time frame or even just a slice. As I drag in, pretty cool. It'll give me, and it tells you, a 5-minute slice that ended at this exact time, and we see here exactly what it was doing, which is pretty cool. And a chart is only as good as the details of its information. So if I scroll down, the chart is helpful to visualize some of the stuff, but we see here that the transactions that were being used that make up that chart are these transactions sorted by the heaviest ones. Okay, so we see app server time, transaction. We see that it is either a function or a script. Okay, and we definitely can click in and get more information. In fact, this one's not going to be that great. This drush one, it shows that it was just purely a drush command that basically peaked at 750 milliseconds. Shows you some details on throughput and also what functions, methods, transactions, were processed in a specific order that we get to see here, as we can see in detail. The order of the transaction, how much time, how many iterations, or how many times it was called. We get all this information. Very cool. Very informative information. So if you're, maintaining websites and performance is key, which of course, obviously, that's all of us basically on the call. This is a very valuable tool, whether you have New Relic or any other application performance monitoring. Thank you, Oliver. He points out, maybe explain that the time frame that I just did a slice of, all the transaction results and details here update to reflect that time slice only. So thank you, Oliver. Yes, great point. And you're able to sort it. You can, if you don't like that chart, there's quite a few different charts. Some pretty simple ones. Okay, but we want to go back out, I would say, to our larger window out of that time slice. Okay, because we're going to be inspecting and watching Drupal 7 through New Relic's eyes on how it's processing and generating content. We're going to see that in a second here. We see that Drupal function is called out here. I don't want to go over the top yet because the only two tabs we're going to jump between is APM and browser mostly. If we have time, I'll point out the other ones. But I wanted to show, of course, there's a full list of transactions. We were just on the overview screen. And I'm giving you guys just kind of a top-level demonstration before I jump into Drupal again to run the generate. But we see here it's going to show us the functions. We get details of those functions. So if I click one of these, like Drupal get form, we see that Drupal get form, all the queries it needed to run. You even can get the queries. It'll inspect and show you the queries. Some information about the details, all that stuff. But we see on the left also here, New Relic knows that I'm running Drupal, and it would switch us out to the other framework if it wasn't Drupal. But we see here that the Drupal modules, it actually gives us a dedicated report for the modules, what hooks, and what views. Now these are definitely going to be your biggest ones that you're going to want to inspect, obviously, outside of individual pages, individual transactions. So we see here that we're going to pick on the update module as being one of the heavier modules. Again, this is a fresh Drupal site, so the numbers are very low, but we're seeing and we're getting, visibility into what is being processed, how much consumption time and transaction and computational time. We jump into Drupal hooks, which is very important to us. So we see that hook _ init is very time consuming, it thinks, for right now. Hook cron, hook flush caches, we see that that's another one that will increase in resource usage as you get through. And there aren't views installed on this site, which is kind of a bummer here, but it would show you exactly what you've been seeing here in terms of sorting the views in order. And then this is actually a great way for you to inspect and find your slowest views. Call out in the chats if if you've had to debug a view, for being slow on the site, and that it basically needed some caching or some optimization in some way, either a field or a render array, something like that. So I'm checking the chat, see if there's anything new to add. Okay, a couple people are saying looks good, thumbs up. Okay, all right. Does this look useful to everybody here, that they would be able to see what modules are the slowest modules, even if it's their own or contrib modules, what hooks might be slowing down your website? How many people that have never used New Relic see this valuable right out of the gate? Just those couple features alone. Let me know. Database, you get to analyze your database queries, as I mentioned before. You don't have to go to this tab. This is a dedicated tab to database queries and database performance, and you can break it down to your Redis cache or your MySQL. Okay, and basically, if it's not a Drupal context, it's going to be, either a query or even an external service. External services would be API calls, anything that's pinging, like we see the update module calls updates.drupal.org. Okay, and then this we were clearing some caches earlier, and we ran a command that did that through the back end essentially, so that process got recorded earlier too. So I'm checking the chat. We've got a couple people calling out stuff. Rick says he's afraid now to look at his views in New Relic because he's afraid of what the truth might reveal, it sounds like. That's great. Miguel says he moved away from views and uses Forena, so that's an interesting thing, and I would love to kind of nerd out later to see how that might be something to be inspected by something like New Relic as well. Manny says New Relic looks valuable. Nice to find out what modules are slowing a site down. Yes, that's right, Manny. Oliver, Rick, you just make sure they're cached. Yep. You want to make sure all your views are cached. Templates, all that stuff's got it right, correctly set up. Leonard says, I have not had hands-on site performance issues. Biggest delays when they're going to a third-party provider for requested data. Leonard, you bring up the perfect point, because I'm on that screen that's going to help you analyze that. In fact, this is where I had found out on one big production website where the Twitter API was being called way too often on all their content pages, which was strange. And basically, we implemented a longer delay, which they were fine with. They didn't need it updated every 5 minutes, every single page on their website. So that helped us not only see what it was doing, but then also have that discussion immediately, and immediately changed it with a couple lines of code change, and that's it. So it's great. We get other things here like error analytics. How many people are used to checking Watchdog for their errors, or a PHP system syslog, right? Those are great, but those kind of disappear after a while. And what would happen is there's actually I would say collected repository of errors. So as there's errors ongoing from your Drupal site, using the Drupal module for New Relic, right, the contrib module, you can have it forward all your errors to New Relic. And so you can reduce your Watchdog table size dramatically to say like 100 lines or something, even smaller. Doesn't matter. But those, since those will be copied and mirrored over on New Relic, and then you're able to not only aggregate them, but run alerts on them, monitor and see if they have gone down or gone up. So that's actually one of the big benefits as well. Okay. So APM application, we have a couple different things. I'm going to show you a cool feature about deployments that'll be coming up, which is really, really neat. Okay. Background jobs, you guys can figure out what those are doing, crons, all that stuff. Okay, we're going to go back to the overview screen here for the application performance monitoring. I mentioned also, so before I go to Drupal 7, there is the browser view, which is the front end. portion of this. So you see we're on browser now, and we were on APM before, and the screens are basically the same. So I don't want to go over these too long, but I figured you guys can get it that this is going to break down obviously the same information on the transactions, but for the front end, for the DOM, all that stuff. Okay, so we're gonna mainly stay in the back end piece over here. Let me close this up. So the module screen, devel generate. I'm gonna actually generate some content here. So let's go ahead and set this up. Let's generate some content. And again, we're going to watch, I'm going back to New Relic. We're watching this time window here. So I'm going to change it to 30 minutes. And we're going to watch, and this chart's going to start filling up, and the transactions list is going to change when we start generating some content and running more of the Drupal site. So for you guys, it wouldn't be generating content normally, but you guys would be generating, let's do just 20 nodes for now. Okay, you guys would be obviously doing the same thing, but for your production stuff as well. Oh, I should have added an alias. That's okay. Are we okay with node/1, node/2 as our URLs, everybody? You guys know what I'm showing off, right? Okay. All right, finished creating 20 nodes. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back over here. We are going to get a list of nodes, so let me go ahead and pull that up, because every time I load an admin page, even that's going to actually help populate New Relic. So loading an edit here, loading a view here, loading a view here, loading a view. So now I'm triggering a bunch of different hooks through Drupal, right? Node_view, node_edit. We see here that this is an edit screen for some of this stuff here out of the box. That's great. So let's just say I'm going to change this to the word hello. I'm going to click save, right? No big deal. Background, view patria, view os, view nobis veniam. Okay, so that's pretty good. Going back to New Relic, we should start seeing the time picker actually start updating some of the transactions here. So what I'm going to do is the overview is going to definitely update in a second here. Takes about almost 60 seconds, right? Now, actually, if I go to the hook screen, we start seeing some of this stuff update. Do you guys now see the hooks? Block hook here, okay? Field storage right hook. You guys start seeing this populating now. Node_insert, stream wrappers, field storage. These look familiar to everybody, right? Okay, so these are the hooks now because we've been processing, and we see now in the far right of the chart, it's starting to go up in the transaction. Okay, so cron looks like cron ran in the middle of everything there. I'm going to click back over to modules. We see here now that since other hooks have fired, those would be in modules. So now we see more of the CMS itself coming to life in New Relic as well. And we see on the right the chart's starting to fill up a little bit more. Okay. Taxonomy, menu, node, devel. We see all those processing. So now let's actually jump in. I'm going to look at node real quick. Average call time, how long it took, 0.4 milliseconds. That's great. Okay. Go back to hooks because, again, more hooks have processed. Okay. Checking this stuff out. So you guys, I'm sure you guys are getting this, right? That, New Relic is going to give you full details. Here we see the chart now. We see now node page _edit. Was one of our highest processing times. So we clicked that to inspect it in detail. Node page edit, we see here it's our third largest transaction. We see all the steps and how much time it took for everything to dig in. It's pretty cool. I'm going to dig into where's the variable update? So I'm going to click this database transaction right here to go even further deeper down the rabbit hole of my website. So we could see how much of the page needed to process and what hooks were necessary to do that. Pretty cool. Okay, so I don't want to take up everybody's too much time. Now I want to add the New Relic module. Okay, and of course, remember, if there's any questions or comments, please bring them up. Tidbits if you want me to share it. So I'm going to turn on the New Relic contrib module for Drupal. We did not have this on before, and there's a lot of cool features. I'm going to click save. There's a lot of cool features, and we'll see a configuration. I'm going to collapse this core window here, but we'll see there's a configuration screen that I want to load up, and I want to introduce this to you. And this is where Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, the configurations are slightly different, just because just where they're placed, or there might be a couple extra ones in the Drupal 8, and I think there's one or two small ones that are in Drupal 7 that Drupal 8 doesn't have yet, and we'll be working on getting parity between those two versions. But this is the D7 version. We see here these settings. I'm going to go over the settings you're going to want to change for your Drupal sites. Drush, if you want to change this, it's up to you, but I definitely always track Drush transactions as background tasks. That is going to allow Drush to be broken out into the background jobs that we see here in New Relic. So that'll help separate it out from regular key transactions, okay? Which is, look at this, it's pretty cool, okay? And then what is the other setting that I use? Okay, oh, sorry. So I changed Drush transactions to be background tasks. Cron transactions, I also change those as background tasks. Okay. I enable the feature that tracks module activation as deployment. What this feature does, and you can read it, whenever you turn on, enable or disable a module via Drush or via the GUI, it will automatically track that in New Relic as a change called a deployment. And what that does is it actually creates a visual marker on all the charts and gives you a full list and marks the exact second in this chart where that deployment took place. And you could put change notes into it. So let me actually show you a cool feature about that, because there is under configuration, New Relic, where were we? New Relic. Oh, wait. Did I miss it? Deploy. Oh, I think it's somewhere else. You're able to generate a deployment mark automatically. Oh, I'll have to put in the API in a second here, the API key. Okay. But what it'll do is it'll make a marker. I love this feature. Everybody should be using this. This is baked into backend APM New Relic. So enable the track module activation as deployment. That's Drupal 7. Drupal 8, you guys have, Drupal 8 people have configuration import. Okay, configuration import is a big deal. That's a big change. This feature essentially is the config import feature and tracks config imports and marks those as a deployment change inside of New Relic for Drupal 8 sites. Okay, you want to leave on automatic real-time user monitoring. This will help with the front-end reports, gives you more detailed transactions. If you want to put that RUM snippet in yourself, you can also let Drupal know that you're doing that. Maybe there's some URLs that you don't want tracked. You're able to mark those URLs to be ignored, of course. Or certain roles. Maybe you don't want anything that the administrators are doing to be monitored by New Relic or any particular role. Maybe you only want authenticated roles to be tracked by New Relic. That's another unique way to kind of change how New Relic behaves on your site or environment. Background URLs, these are all self-explanatory. You can mark which ones would be tracked if it's a specific URL pattern. When you put your API key, that's where you're able to write some data to New Relic right from your Drupal site, which would be also like forwarding your watchdog messages. And in fact, I would suggest forwarding all except debug, all the major ones that you would want, right? So the bad ones, of course, all the way down to maybe notice, because you should fix notices and warnings in your PHP code. Don't leave them lingering. Info and debug, those are mostly, I would say, for kind of local stuff. So those don't need to be forwarded, but it doesn't really cost you anything to forward those as well to New Relic. Okay? The other, I don't see that we have enough time to kind of go over everything here, but they're pretty self-explanatory because there's help information. And of course, Oliver mentioned that he has a longer New Relic presentation, so maybe some of these features might make sense in watching that longer presentation about New Relic. So I've configured the New Relic module in Drupal, pulling this out. And now what I want to do is I want to generate some content again. And this time let's really give it some really good content here to generate, right? So let's generate 150 nodes between article, basic page. I'm going to click go. Okay, and then I'm going to close up actually these tabs right here. We don't need them anymore. Okay, close. Okay, close. And then the generate finish, we're going back. So generate is running, and we see here, look, all this activity has been populating New Relic. You guys think this is cool? You guys like this? Check out what modules were the most problematic. It's fair. Hook. It's probably more interesting because we're always playing with hooks, not always playing around with the modules necessarily. Once we get settled on the modules we want to use. Okay, going back. Generate a lot of nodes. And now what we should start to see is, because I turned on that New Relic Contrib module, we should start to see some of these transactions change their labels. We also will see a little bit of more information injected. In fact, some of the development patches that I have in play right now, what we see here is block view, block_view. Okay, and what happens is this transaction doesn't have that much more information. It's just this one. So let me go into transaction, and what I've been adding to the contrib module. Oliver says he doesn't cover the New Relic Drupal module. That's okay. We'll cover it together. The transactions here we see node page edit. That's a good one, and node Drupal get form. We see there's not a lot of details in the transactions here. Oh, I think I need to change the trace. Yeah, at the bottom. Yep. What we're going to see after a little bit more information comes into New Relic, there are some properties to the transaction. There's transaction traces, and this is not filled up. When the transaction traces show up, these are specific details of an actual transaction that ran through Drupal, not just this order, but it would have information hidden essentially about, say, the other arguments passed to the hook. So we have node page edit, node get, Drupal get form. Those methods, the arguments we pass to them, like the form ID that would be going to the Drupal get form. Those arguments are important. If we're just debugging a hook, a block view or node edit or node view hook might happen so many times within the same minute that we can't separate one from the other possibly. But blocks have a delta, a unique identifier, correct? Blocks, nodes have a node ID. Users have a user ID. These are some of the unique entity IDs or unique strings, or they might be numeric ways that we identify one block from each other, or again a detail of what node was being edited or viewed. Yes, I do need to lower the T. I didn't want to have to deal with it, so let me try that right now. I'm hoping that it won't take long for it to refresh, Oliver. He was suggesting that I lower the setting here, and he's right. This will actually give me a little bit more resolution, some more granularity into the transactions. Yep. So let's see. I just don't know how long it's going to take to process some of these. But let's jump in actually over here to transaction. So the module helps by injecting some of that information for these hooks. So by adding the module, and again, those are in dev, so they're not showing up. Yeah, Oliver, we're not getting enough. So these are very fast pages, so they're not registering in New Relic. So that's pretty neat. But anyway, the module helps provide a deployment marker, the forwarding of the logs and errors to New Relic to use New Relic's error system for analyzing and debugging. And what the cool thing is any errors that do come up, and I'm not so sure any are going to come up here. Yeah, see, this is an error-free site, which is great right now. But errors that do get recorded, if there is a back-end hook transaction, anything like that, then New Relic can stitch it together. It will do that stitching together for you. So you're not just trying to guess what that slow item was. You are able to go back and catch it. Vanilla Drupal is too fast. Apparently, yes, that is correct. Okay, either comments, questions? Okay. I want to show off the new labeling. I really want to see it show up in the transactions. It's actually one of the cool features. So one of the changes that you would see is these labels actually start to get a little bit more informative about what hook operation that they're using. I guess, yeah, Oliver, you're right. I think maybe it's just running a little too fast. Oh, here's a transaction detail. Perfect. Drupal get form. Aha, there we go. Here's more information. Thank you. Okay, cool. See, full inspection of everything that was run. Drupal get form, initialize Drupal bootstrap, form get cache, all this stuff in detail. And we could see this is where it really slowed down. Devel, generate content, add node. Of course it would slow down there. So it shows that it repeated 20 times, but it's showing me the 3 slowest versions of it. So I'll go to the slowest one. But this is pretty cool, right? So with this information here, watch node save. So usually there's some transaction information. So if I go to summary, we see some arguments down at the bottom. Here they are. The request header. See, this is very valuable information for us developers. What was the response code that came in? Any of the headers. If there was something unique to the headers, you can also inject those and forward those to New Relic if they're special. But down here, annotating traces. This is what I've been adding to the Drupal 7 module, and I'll be adding it to the Drupal 8. And it would add, it does the block ID, it does the node ID, the hook, the operations, a couple little more arguments like that. And then also too, these traces, I'm not seeing them update yet. I'm going to try a quick refresh. But you would actually see their labels be a lot more kind of, I would say, human friendly with the module. Some of the ones that got triggered here are not showing their new name, and it actually might be the Drupal 8 module that might have the better naming convention right now. So as you can see, there is, or here, me present, there are some, again, some augmentations that the modules are going to do to enhance your New Relic experience for Drupal, whether you're on 7, 8, or 9. Oliver suggests highlight that you have to click on trace details of the tab. People miss that because it's so hidden. Yes, that is correct. The New Relic is definitely one of those keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. And you can really get down into a loop of a transaction. Okay. Stoffer's asking a question about some comments thing. I'm not too sure. Sorry, Stoffer. You can hit me up if it's a thing. More comments, questions. I hope this has been good. How are we doing on time? Because it's before 8:15. Pretty good on time. Did you guys enjoy what I covered? I want to refresh this window. I want to go back and see if it gives me some of those nice labels here because I worked on them. Yeah, I think it's the D8 version that we have that in there. Yeah. I will actually be coming back to this presentation again. I would love once the new patches are distributed in the D8 and D7 module for New Relic. I would love to come back and do an updated version of this. Okay. Any questions about a feature with Drupal, using Drupal and New Relic together? Questions about the modules that I'm helping maintain, with the community? I would love to. Good on time, Miguel. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. Since we have some time for the meetup remaining, I want to make sure that we capture any questions or comments. And for the evolution of incorporating online and with our in-person meetups, finding a way for you guys to not have to maybe type it all on the fly, but maybe give you guys a heads up when we're going to be doing questions or anything like that. Job announcements, I remember that was a thing earlier. We'll try to get better at this stuff because this is all new. Good on time, very cool. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Miguel. I'm going to refresh because I am really interested in seeing that big change that we had put in some months ago. Yeah, I think it was just the D8 one. So maybe the dev version of the D7 module has it. I gotta go look. I forget. So many patches, so little time, and good on time. Okay, thank you. All right, cool. I want to make sure I grab any last questions or comments about the New Relic presentation. Since I will give everybody a minute, I will mention there is a feature called Alerts, and a feature called Synthetics, and a feature called Insights that are very popular. I won't go too heavy into them, but what I want to bring up is alerts will watch thresholds. So like I was mentioning, when you're forwarding your errors over to New Relic out of Drupal. This is a good way that you can have an alert watch the errors, and when errors go over a percentage, like say over 2% within a 1 hour window or a whole day, whatever it is to you that makes sense, it can automatically alert you. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let me see. Synthetics, I don't have any in here. One of the easiest ones, though, and you Drupal users will love this one, to run cron. If you want to run cron more than what your provider might do out of the box, you come to Synthetics and New Relic, choose ping, put in your website, put in the cron URL, that secret URL that you get, give it a name, Drupal cron, so you know what this one ping check is. And then basically pick a place, and then set the schedule, have the cron run, however frequent you need it to run or so, and then basically notify you if anything comes up with it. But the New Relic Synthetics ping is one of the easiest ways to run cron for Drupal at a frequency. So if you use like Alicia cron or Ultimate cron, this is how you can come in and set that to ping Drupal once a minute, and it'll actually give you a report. There'll be charts showing all the cron runs, and how it did and how fast and all that stuff. So that's what I use Synthetics for with Drupal out of the box. There's a lot of synthetics that you can create, of course, to expand that, but that is the most basic way to use Synthetics. Insights lets you bring data into New Relic. One of the ways that I did this was this allows you to munge data, if you will, from New Relic about your transaction and how your site and application is running, augmented with data that you care about. So, like say I have New Relic understand how many nodes my website has, and it starts to kind of show that in here with some charts. Now that might not be sexy to people, knowing how many nodes, but let's say you have something like user-generated comments. This is where you can show a number and pull from Drupal that information every once in a while, have it stuff it into New Relic and present it in data and dashboard form for it to be cross-referenced or visualized in some way along with your own internal KPIs or initiatives. So it's pretty cool. Cool stuff like that. Okay. I want to make sure I catch any other good comments, questions. Mention how to key it. Yes, Oliver suggests, Chris, can you mention how New Relic tracks a key transaction? Yes. So first, a little bit of background. Oliver mentioned key transactions. What that is these are just all the transactions. You might not care about all the transactions, and you might not really care about trying to sit through and mark each function to ignore. So one of the ways that you can have New Relic do its thing, but kind of reduce and focus, if you will, narrow the focus around things that you only care about. So let's say one side of your team cares about how all the forms are doing. So when you're clicking into a transaction, you get information about that one transaction, right? So this could be like a cron run on a like when something synchronizing some external data, whatever it be. But there's a cool feature here called track as key transaction, and when you click this, you're able to give it a name, and by default it's going to just retain that one. But Drupal get form power, right? I'm just going to put a stupid label here, but what it does is it lets New Relic know that this is more important than all the other transactions, and so what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to create alerts around this specific transaction, which is great. And then also just give me a direct report around key transactions. So by jumping in, I'm able to see, I guess I was in the back. It just jumped in. It took me to this one right here. So key transactions, let me go back. Key transactions. We see here now, I don't have to go to a full list of all transactions. I can come into my key transactions and see how it's performing for end users, error counts, anything like that. And it's pretty neat. You can enter some unique tags like work in progress or, new, if you guys are monitoring all the stuff that is new for your team, whatever it be. So thank you, Oliver, for bringing out key transactions. That's actually one of the really good ones. And it's pretty easy to generate one from scratch, right? Drupal JSON output. Oh, come on, that's a big one, right? I mean, that one can eat some processing power there. And so we see here now that this key transaction here, boom, I get a quick drop down right to it along with my other one. So that was a good one, Oliver. Thanks for that tip. And good tip, you could also set a separate T value different from the rest of the app for your key transactions. Oliver, that I think is probably the goldenest tip tonight. That is a very good one. Thank you. Excellent. Oliver, you and I, man, we're New Relic duo buddies here. Power twins on the New Relic side with Drupal. Love it. All right, everybody, more questions, comments. I want to make sure, we're not even at the 8:30 mark for tonight's meetup. If you're okay, we can stop right at 8:30 if everyone's cool with that. We don't have to go all the way till 9. Let's everybody get to the bar a little faster. All right? Cool? I want to make sure I capture any comments or questions. Please just give me a thumbs up if you're just happy with what you've been watching so far tonight. If you also have suggestions about what I could add to the next version of this presentation, that'd be good, and I'll write it down. Thank you, Oliver. Oliver just gave me a high five, so I think he's happy with the Prezzo tonight. It's a good one. Remember, everybody, use the modules for New Relic, for your Drupal 7, your Drupal 8, and your upcoming Drupal 9. Okay? Even WordPress, the WordPress module out there. I know some people here have both in their organizations. There is a New Relic module that does a lot of the same things that we were talking about. Also, if you're Laravel user, I know I'm gonna call out Ashok. I know he was talking Laravel something the other night, if he had New Relic, it would be able to inspect that, and a lot of the cool features, they work over there too. Let me see. Stauffer says, is that the one in my dining room? The bar. Yes, Stauffer. If it's got bar chairs, then it's even more like a bar. So, high chairs or something, right? High bar chairs. Rick, thank you for a thumbs up. Leslie says, okay, New Relic module. So I think that's kind of a checklist item check, double check. Miguel says, good presentation. Thank you. You guys are nice. Appreciate it. I'm glad the audio was good. Did anybody experience any dips in the video or the audio? I know I could ask offline, but might as well just catch it here since everybody's kind of chiming in at the end. Slack was a little bit quiet. That's fine. Most people were talking in the live chat on YouTube. Remember, this live chat does get captured in the video as well, so people are able to. So if you share links in here, some cool little tidbits, these should, I believe, be replayed on the video optionally. Okay. Double checking everything here. I think I'm gonna put my little fun emoji in here for everybody. Yay! Cool. Okay, that's good. And we are going to work out how to bring in other presenters so we can do remote lightning talks. If we're at the meetup and somebody couldn't just drive to the meetup, but is going to do a really cool lightning talk. We also have an upcoming presenter that is out of the city. So we're working to get remote presenters to chime in. Because I think that's going to be a big one for us to get some of the big names that are really good friends with LA Drupal but live in a whole different country or state. Looking at the questions here, no dips. Audio was great. That's awesome. Good to see you guys. Okay. Miguel says, what is your preference, using this or Slack while we're presenting? Hey. We're feeling this through. So today I had both because I have 4 monitors in my command console here. So I kept each one on their own dedicated monitor right near me, so I can check in each one next to my presentation screen. So I hope I did okay jumping between, checking on you guys and going to the presentation. But again, if anybody has online presentations that they have seen that were great that we can steal from to, again, help incorporate and make this hybrid where it's both for the in-person with some online presence. So not only are we using this for recording, but of course interaction. That would be really great. Okay. All right, let me see. 5 minutes before we close up. I want to make sure I get any other last minute questions or comments. For those watching the recording, there might not be anything juicy or revealing at the end. We have no end credits, Marvel MCU style surprise. Nick Fury is too expensive. If you like, we could use Zoom meeting. Yes. For those that care and that are still watching the recording, community members, one of the thoughts that I had was to actually use Zoom in the background to invite the other presenters, and then that would stream right through the main presentation one. And so we are, and Stoffer's saying that the Zoom could also be up to 100 people. So we will look at seeing how we can get that to be recorded and automatically published right into our YouTube Live. That would be the goal, everybody, here, is to have in-person plus online participation on both sides, recorded and uploaded while we're all at the bar drinking for the after dark. Mocktails, okay? Iced tea, and brewskis, okay? So people are enjoying and liking the idea, okay? Seems like this is all worth a shot, you guys, for us to, keep trying this out. Okay, and I think probably by Q2 of next year, when Drupal 9 is coming out, I think we'll have this down, everybody. In person plus online. Get everybody tools for Drupal 9. Pass the mic. Yes, Christopher is saying that if we use the pro account and get this all set up, we can pass the mic, and that is the exact goal. Yep. Sorry for people that are on the videos, a little bit flat and boring because it's been the same screen, but the activity is right now happening in the live chat channel. Have other presenters, yes, and have it upload to your Google Drive. If you want to use up space on your Google Drive, that's fine. But yes, from Google Drive, we could go right up to YouTube, so that would be fine. So it might not be YouTube Live the next time. It might be a Zoom account by our wonderful sponsor, Stoffer. Love it. Thank you, Stoffer. Thank you. Everybody that's on the Slack, everybody that's on YouTube, and I'll just call out Stoffer again individually. Look, everybody, you guys are so helpful. I'm glad this went well because I wanted it to, and practicing it individually and trying stuff out, it worked fine. Having everybody on, multiple people chatting, this is really great. So thank you, everybody. Yep. So there's a point about, even getting people who had video so their audio can come through, if not their video as well. Again, this is the goal. So, and I know we're eating up time on the recording, which is fine because this is for the Los Angeles Drupal user group. So it's our meetup and the presentation together. And now Stoffer's just showing off. Rightfully so. They're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you guys. You guys are so helpful and supportive. I'm glad this went well as an experiment. The recording should be available within about a minute or so, something like that. Okay. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Cool. I not only can't wait to get the hybrid online in-person version going here, but the true success marker that I will be happy with is getting the remote presenters and remote participants fully involved to be able to ask their question or share their screen. Can't wait. Cool. Yep. Also, too, this is a great time for us to bring up the fact that we need a good set of topics from you guys. We can always come up with the list, but we want to hear what you guys are in the middle of tooling, learning, dealing with, pain, coolness, whatever it is around Drupal and PHP, the orbiting ecosystem technologies. Please let us know so we can start organizing that list. And we will be actually posting a list of topics and looking for presenters and volunteers. And I hope that you guys could see that this online, method could be an option for you if you don't feel like you would be able to present in person, but can pick up one of those topics and volunteer for, that series. So that'd be great. Thank you all for your time. Miguel, thank you for the good comments. Stoffer, have a good night, you too. Thank you, Leslie, Rick, everybody, all the way down the line, the chats, all across the boards. Thanks, everybody. Can't wait to see the feedback after the fact. Have a good night.